Shares of Tilray are lower this morning after reporting a loss in the quarter, although it was narrower than expected. The company also reported better than expected revenue growth that came in at a record. The stock has been beset by short selling activity. Kerrisdale recently putting out a short report on Tilray that took the stock down a little bit lower. Let's bring in the CEO of Tilray now, Irwin Simon, Chair and CEO of Tilray Brands. No stranger, I should say, Irwin, to short sellers. But before we get into that, I do want to spend a moment on the quarter, because despite the share price reaction, you did hit a record in terms of revenue. The losses were narrower. You held firm on your forecast for 2024. What's underpinning that? Where is the strength coming from in the portfolio?
Good morning, Amber. Nice to see you. Listen, we had a record quarter for our first quarter. Our revenue was up 15%. Our EBITDA, adjusted EBITDA, $11.4 million. We had, 37% growth in our European business. Our spirits and beer businesses continue to grow. We completed the acquisition of ABI, this past Friday, Monday. So there's a lot going on within Tilray. And I step back and say, listen, I'm not sure what investors are missing. And, we did have a loss in the quarter. The majority of the loss is non-cash, which is amortization, stock compensation. But listen, it took companies like Tesla, Amazon, many years to grow, many years to get to profitability. That's not what I'm looking at. But, you step back for a second, cannabis has only really been legal 5 years in Canada. And I got to tell you, they're really getting some great traction of what I'm seeing in Canada. This past quarter, we sold 20 million, pre-rolls. We're seeing price compression not being, anywhere near where it was. You see the consumers more and more going to the legal market. So I like what I see out there. I like what I see in the cannabis market. I like what I see in the beer and the spirits market. I like what I see what's going on within Tilray.
Okay, so let's take some of these claims, maybe point by point. Tilray has the dubious honor of being the most shorted cannabis stock out there right now. Kerrisdale, as I mentioned, putting out this report and hinges on three things. One, you're paying suppliers in stock, and that's sort of masking your expenses and propping up the bottom line on an adjusted basis. That U.S. descheduling does not benefit Tilray, and that these 8 brands that you bought are actually in decline. Can we take the first one? You're paying the supplier Double Diamond Holdings in stock instead of paying them, I guess, through payables.
So number one, Double Diamond is our partner in regards to our cannabis grow facility, which is a very profitable facility. It's a facility that is run at 100% capacity. We are a profitable, facility, and we split profits with them, and they decided to take their profits in equity instead of cash, which I think is pretty good. We are not paying expenses. We're not paying expenses of the entity with stock. And ultimately, the stock is not added back to EBITDA. So basically, we're getting a cash distribution. Our shareholders are getting a cash distribution. The Double Diamond shareholders are getting a distribution. Their distribution is in Tilray stock, which they're willing to take equity. Whether they sell it or not, it's up to them.
The second point about what U.S. legalization, or this what it's called Schedule 3 developments, which would mean that marijuana is not as classified at the level of heroin, what it means for Tilray. You've been very vocal that it doesn't actually mean anything right now for Tilray, even though investors have kind of bid up your stock on anticipation.
Listen, last time I was on your show, Amber, I was very clear. In regards to descheduling today does not affect Tilray. And I've been always very clear about that. Ultimately, it clears up a lot of confusion, and it's great for the industry. And with that, there could be an opportunity one day for us as we grow cannabis in Canada to ship it into the U.S. But more important, listen, I look at the whole industry, and if descheduling could happen, I'm interested in the industry, not just ultimately for Tilray. So today, direct benefit? Absolutely not. I've been very clear about that. but I think there's got to get some clarity on legalization and what could happen in the U.S. And if medical cannabis could legalize, that would be great. And it makes sense. Listen, cannabis today is scheduled scheduled the same as heroin. Actually, it has a higher schedule than cocaine. So we got to get confusion out of the way there. And I think that's what's important, and that's what's important to me.
The final piece is on this 8 brands that you purchased and the short seller notes that those are in decline. And you said to me before, that's a strategic entry point into the U.S. Then you have distribution for cannabis infused drinks. But how do you make sure if that portfolio is declining that you're not investing in that declining brand, waiting for whatever this regulatory clearing is going to bring you?
So let me be very clear on our U.S. strategy. Our U.S. strategy, number one, was not waiting for cannabis to legalize. Number two, we did not buy these businesses just waiting to infuse them with THC. We see a big opportunity within the craft beer business there. And we proved it with Sweetwater's. Sweetwater now is grew 4%. We grew Montauk 9%. We think there's a big opportunity within the craft beer business. So first and foremost, that is where our strategy is. In regards to these 8 brands declining, they're absolutely right. But I come back and say what goes down ultimately has to go up. I think, as ABI own these businesses and they own 2,200 craft beer businesses, a lot of other businesses, did they get the focus and did they get the attention? But I got to tell you, we acquired some great brands in regards to Blue Point, Breckenridge Brewery, in regards to 10 Barrel. So just a few that we acquired. And you bring it together, what we have today, we basically have 12 great brands today. We will sell, with the 12 million cases of beer, almost 300 million cans of beer in 50 states, also in the Bahamas, the Caribbean, we ship into Canada. So we really put together a great business where we're not dependent upon cannabis legalization. And we as a company today have a great diversification out there.